And joining me now is Tim Daniels, who's the president, CEO, and director of Boron One Holdings. He's got very exciting news for his company today, and he's got a presentation he's going to go over, and then I'll be asking Tim some questions. So congratulations, Tim, on your exploration license for the Jarandol Basin. And how are you doing?
Doing good, Carl. Good to see you once again. I always enjoy these little chats we have.
Absolutely. I'll just let everybody know I am a shareholder of Boron One, so I am biased. But I'm quite pleased with this announcement, Tim, and really looking forward to you walking us through what this all means and the value for shareholders.
Yeah, you bet. Well, I can also disclose that I'm also a shareholder and I'm also biased, and I agree with you that this is fun news for us. It's an exciting piece to the puzzle for us going forward. So happy to share this with your audience. All right, this opening shot, I like to spend a minute on it because it's more than just a pretty nature shot of some valley somewhere. This is called the Jarandol Basin, what you're looking at here. And the basin itself is well defined within the structure of the mountains that surround it. So Mount Caponic that you see on the back side of this photo, which is actually we're facing from west to east here for some orientation for people looking at the photo. And on the far side of the basin, so on the east side of the basin, you see an area delineated where our Piscania boron project is located. And I've been on this program many times, and I think most of your viewers will be familiar with the Piscania project. It's our flagship project that we've been working on for the last many years. And we've rounded the corner now and have moved the project from exploration into the development phase. What's important, though, also within this photo is that if you're looking at the bottom edge of the photo where the shadow falls, which is the west side of the basin, everything in between, this is about 3 kilometers distance between the shadow and where the Piscania deposit is located on the other side. Everything in between and the entire basin itself, running north and south, is now part of our exploration license called the Jarandol Basin license. The other area, again, next to the shadow, which is marked in red, is the Pobergy boron mine, which is owned by the government. And so important to note that, that all the land adjacent to these 2 known boron deposits and all the land in between these 2 known boron deposits is now a part of our exploration license. The other thing that's important to note is that this is a historical mining district. There has been continuous mining operations happening in this basin for about the last 125 years. Unfortunately, today, the only operating mine in the region is a coal mine that's being operated by the government, and it's about to be wound down and shut down by the government over the course of the next few short years. So the government is very motivated to see us get this new project up and running so that we're able to help with the transition for the hundreds of underground miners who today have a job at the coal mine but will not have that job over the course of the next couple of years as that coal operation is being shut down. The other thing that's important to note is because it is a historic mining district, it has very well developed mine infrastructure. There's all-season paved roads, there's rail lines, there's power, there's services that we need to operate a mine. And also, most importantly, the locals who live in this area are very familiar with mining. Everyone either works for the coal mining company or has a brother, cousin, uncle, etc. that has or does work for the coal mine. So the mining is a very strategically important and well understood industry within the Jarandol Basin. And that's very important because it's been our experience when you're operating a mining project anywhere in the world. If you have the local community backing you and on your side, you have the strongest ally that you could ever hope for. On the other side of the coin, if the local mining community does not want mining in their backyard, you're done. You might as well pack up and go home, because a mining operation just is never successful unless you have the full support and endorsement and understanding of the local community, and we absolutely do have that. That gives you a little better understanding and idea of what the Jarandol Basin is all about, and how it fits into our project going forward. For those who might not be familiar with Boron 1, our mission statement is to decarbonize planet Earth through the responsible utilization of our boron assets. Boron is one of these very unusual industrial minerals, in that I guarantee each and every one of your listeners or viewers use boron-related products every single day, and probably most of them aren't even aware of it. Simple things like this cell phone in my hand, the screen on the cell phone is about 15% boron. Same thing with the computer screen that I'm looking into. But when we think about the world around us, boron is a necessary part of modern life in every way possible. For example, starting with the ceramic tiles under our feet, to the fiberglass insulation in our walls that keep our houses energy efficient, to the solar panels on our roof, to the fiber optic cable that runs our internets. We need boron. Boron is, in the roll cages of our cars, and in our food crops. Most food crops around the world are boron deficient, and boron is a necessary micronutrient that's added to the fertilizers. So boron is an essential part of modern existence. But the game changer for boron now is decarbonization of planet Earth. As every government, as every responsible corporation and individual all over the planet is concerned about how we get off fossil fuels and is looking for green energy alternatives, boron plays an absolutely essential role in all green energies. And what do I mean by that? If you look down the list of our green energy sources, like windmills, like solar panels, rechargeable batteries, making our houses more energy efficient, driving electric vehicles, making our crop production more efficient, and on and on and on and on and on. Every one of those applications require a substantial amount of boron. So decarbonization has been a game changer for the boron industry on the demand side. So demand for boron is growing exponentially. On the supply side, though, unfortunately for the world, fortunately for companies like us, there's literally one handful of boron mines in the entire world. Boron is a very scarce, very rare commodity, and there is not dozens of new boron mines that are out there to come on stream. Unlike, lithium, which is also obviously another very important mineral, there are hundreds of producing and prospective lithium projects around the world. There's literally one hand of boron mines that operate in the entire world. So decarbonization is a game changer for the boron industry. And so securing new economic sources of boron, as difficult and as rare as it is vital to the world going forward. And we've got one of those few new deposits. But we're here not to talk about our Piscania deposit, which is in the process of going through it's mine licensing, and over the course of the next couple of years, fingers crossed, it becomes a producing boron mine. We're here to talk specifically about our new exploration license, which covers the balance of the basin. Some of the highlights of this license that have been disclosed in our news release that came out earlier. The license covers about 21 square kilometers. To put that in perspective, our Piscania project license is about three and a half square kilometers. So this is several times the size of that. The license is typical for Serbia. It's a 3-year license, which is extendable on the exploration side up as much as 8 years. It is adjoining the two known boron deposits in the basin, our deposit to the east side and the government-owned small boron mine to the west side, and covers all the ground in between those as well. So we know that any prospective ground in the Jarandol Basin for boron is a part of our exploration license now. Well-developed infrastructure in the basin, as I mentioned before, because it is a well-known mining region. And the Jarandol Basin is located in the Vardar belt, which is the geological formation that includes the Turkish boron deposits. So we're in the same geological belt and formation as what has created the world's richest boron deposits that are found in Turkey. So it's an area that is very prospective when it comes to the potential for additional boron deposits. Here's a map of the basin, and the highlighted area in the middle shows the Jarandol license itself. On the eastern edge, the right side of the map, you see the Piscania deposit, which is owned by us and being advanced towards a mining license right now. And further to the west and a little north of us, that red blotch is the Pobrije boron mine, which is operated by the government, owned by the government, not being operated today. The larger patch attached to it is the coal mine. So when you see that red patch to the upper center part of the map here, it looks like a large area. Actually, the Pobrije boron mine comprises a very small piece at the southern tip of that, and the balance of that is actually the government-run coal mine. And if you look at the spot in between the Piscania deposit and the Pobrije mine, there's a little X on the map, and that marks the spot where we have done some previous exploration work out in the basin, and came back with some pretty good results, and I'll share those with you once again in another slide. And that goes back to an exploration program that we did in, I believe it was 2015. The basin itself, once again, there's a small population base directly in our locale in the basin. There's about 3,000 inhabitants. But at the same time that there's a very small population in the basin itself, within about an hour drive, we've got some major centers both to the north and to the south of us. In one direction, there's a town with several tens of thousands of people in it. In the other direction, there's a fairly major city with a population of a couple 100,000. And both of those centers, like I said, are within an hour or two drive of us and have all the essential services that we absolutely need to run a mining operation. This area, again, strong mining tradition and culture of mining. They understand mining and need and want mining. And borites, like what we have, are perceived as the economic future driver for the region. And this region itself is of strategic importance to the Serbian government because the reason why it's underinhabited as it is because there is no gainful employment. And what tends to happen in these more impoverished regions of the country is the people move away to the population centers. They move up north into Belgrade and create a vacuum. And so the government, to help create some economic prosperity in some of these regions and keep the stresses off the bigger cities, they have to create some new work in these areas. And in this particular region, in the Jarandol Basin, we are the only new, prospective employer coming up that is looking to, possibly employ as much as a few hundred people for the next couple of decades in highly skilled, well-paid jobs. So the government is strongly in our corner and rooting hard for us to get the mine developed in short order. Also, as I mentioned, the really well-developed infrastructure. If you look at the photograph on the left-hand side of this slide, you see this rail line. Well, that rail line is actually right in the Jarandol Basin, right on our exploration land, and located about 200 meters from our Piscania Boron property. And this rail line runs north into Belgrade, about 250 kilometers, or south into Croatia and Montenegro, about the same distance, into deep water ports. So we have access today, right from our project site, by rail and water to the global markets. And again, when you're talking about developing an industrial mineral project where you're moving, many tons of material, it's important that you have ready access to the global markets by an economic method. And there is no cheaper way to move bulk materials around the world than by rail and water transport, and we have those at our disposal today. So when we talk about our infrastructure needs going forward, our mine development costs, none of that goes into general infrastructure. We don't need to build roads and rail lines and power cables and so on and so forth. All that exists today. So every dollar of our development money goes directly into the ground to develop our resource, not general infrastructure. The map on the right shows the location of the Jarandol Basin relative to Belgrade. It's about 250 kilometers south. It's accessible by divided highway for the majority of the trip. It's about a 4-hour trip from Belgrade down, and the balance of the way is by all-season, well-paved roads that we've used for many years without any problem in all conditions, summer, winter. So good roads all the way through. Previous exploration. This is the other thing that makes this acquisition of this exploration target really exciting for us. Well, it's not a new target for us. That's the whole point. We know it, and we know it quite well. It does have the potential to host extensions to the Piscania deposit on the east side of the basin and the Povergy deposit on the west side. Interestingly enough, our footprint on our Piscania deposit is still open in the western direction and the southwestern direction. In other words, it's open towards the Povergy and towards the Jarandol licensed area. Povergy, on the other hand, remains open to the east and the southeast, again, open towards our deposits on the other side of the basin. So clearly there's the potential for there to be extensions to those two known deposits on the Jarandol project site. There's also the potential to host additional separate deposits within it. In fact, the previous work program that we've done on the Jarandol Basin, we drilled a total of 6 holes. Again, if you recall earlier slide that I showed, that X between the Piscania and Pauberger deposits, there was an X about midway through, which is where we chose to put down 6 drill holes. All 6 drill holes hit boron. 3 of those actually intersected what would appear to be, economic measurements of boron. They hit intervals that were in excess of a meter in thickness, and with grades of boron, running up around the 40% boron content. Clearly, those sorts of parameters, if they're to hold through with additional drill holes that we have planned out for future drill programs, would show themselves to be economic beyond a doubt. Those sorts of numbers in the Piscania project are clearly economic. So we're very excited by the fact that we know where to start our exploration in the basin based on past exploration that we've conducted in the basin and the success that we had from that. So in a nutshell, this is a great opportunity for us. If nothing else, the work that we've done and intend on doing in the basin expands our knowledge of the geology of that region outside of the existing footprint of the Piscania deposit. But more importantly, there's a great opportunity for us to expand our mineral resource by having either extensions to our known deposit or separate deposits within the basin. So we're really pleased and excited to have this project back in hand, and are looking forward to getting back on the ground and doing some work with it. So Carl, that kind of wraps up what I wanted to talk about it. The press release goes into maybe a few more details that I might have glossed over, and so I would encourage everyone to pick up a copy of today's news release and have a look at that for yourself. And we always encourage you to give us a shout as well to help round out any of the additional questions that you might have. So let's start with that. Carl, do you have any additional questions? Anything that I can add that I might have forgotten?
Well, I had 5 questions, but you pretty much nailed all of them. I think, I can understand how this would be exciting for you, Tim. And I know you're busy. You're working on this pretty hard. I think the big question here is, great, you've got the license now. You have an exploration plan. The geology looks great. You got historical drilling results that you like, and that makes sense. How are you going to pay for this?
Mm-hmm. Sure. A terrific question. So the first comment I'll make on that is that our primary focus has been and will remain the development of the Piscania project. Nothing is more important than that. And so the Jarandol, while we see potential there, it's the difference between having a bar of gold in your pocket today versus, well, maybe I can scrounge through the cushions and find some additional coins. I don't know, maybe that's not a great analogy, but the point I'm trying to make is that we will not lose sight of our primary goal, which is as quickly and as effectively as possible the development of the Piscania deposit into a going concern mining operation. That, though, also plays into your question regarding how do we pay for future development at Jarandol. Part of what we've got going on the business development side, and have for some time, is several different potential strategic partners who are at the table doing their due diligence with us, who have shown an interest in partnering with us in this project. And the discussions that we're having with those potential partners includes an overall budget, yes, first and foremost, for finishing the development of Piscania itself into an operating mining operation. But it's not lost on these potential partners the potential within the balance of the basin. And a lot of these are sizable companies that are looking for looking to secure boron production, not for the next 10 years, 20 years, but for the next 40, 50, 100 years if possible. So for them, the bigger the deposit is, the better. And so they are happy to, as part and parcel of the discussions that we're having regarding a strategic partnership where they come in and fund the development of Piscania mine itself, they're happy to have the conversation about doing the expansion work, both in the eastern direction, because as I mentioned, Piscania remains unbounded to the east. So we know, to the northwest and part of the south, we know where the boundary of the deposit is. When we drill outside of that, we know we're not going to hit any more boron. To the west, though, it remains wide open. And so how much more boron can we add in those directions? Well, we're not sure. We do know that drill holes that have extended in that direction, to the western direction, several hundred meters off the current footprint of the deposit, have continued to hit the boron beds. So we know that there is a very good possibility, if not probability, to increase the known tonnage at Piscania in that direction. These companies want to see that happen because, as I said, their planning isn't just for the next 10 or 20 years, but the next 40, 50 years. And so they want to know how much boron is in the entire basin. And so they're happy to fund that going forward. So part of our plan is to use other people's money, meaning these strategic partners, to do the exploration and hopefully development work in other parts of the basin to again, hopefully find either extension to the known deposits or brand new separate deposits out in the basin that we can develop. So the plan clearly is at this point to rely on the deep pockets of some of these potential strategic partners who are at our negotiating table right now, and use those sources of funds to do the future expansion of our boron reserves. And by doing it that way, we minimize our dilution.
So essentially, this is a pretty good check mark for those a potential partner. They would probably want to see this have been done. If you had a chalkboard behind you on the to-do list, what other things would you say need to be done to secure financing or get a partner to sign up with you?
Mm-hmm. There's not a one glaring error or omission in the work that we've done to this point that's holding up partners. They're going through their due diligence. For some of them, it's it's the learning curve on the mining side itself. For others who are more mining savvy but have less acumen when it comes to the boron market, are doing their due diligence on that. But nobody's come back to us and said, well, gee, if only you had, completed X, we'd be interested. So, call us once you complete X. That X does not exist. Everyone who's at our table, who has been completing their due diligence on this, continues to be at our table and continues to be, tremendously interested in moving forward with a strategic partnership with us. So we don't have some, big missing, hurdle that we need to clear before we capture the attention or the imagination of some of these partners. No, that's just not the case at all.
Okay, well, Tim, thanks for walking us through the presentation today. Congratulations again on securing the license. And we look forward to more updates from you. And I'm sure there'll be a town hall webinar in the next month or two with shareholders to bring everybody back up to speed.
Yeah, you bet. There's lots of exciting developments in the works that have been in the works for some time. Several that I know our shareholders are anxiously awaiting. It's a bit frustrating at times because a lot of these developments are out of our direct control. It relies on us receiving, certain approvals or permissions from the government or from a strategic partner, et cetera, et cetera. So with some of these developments that we've been waiting on, we know that they're working their way through the system and are getting closer to the point in time where they become a reality, and we'll be able to confirm those to the public and our shareholder base. But we are excited about what the next little while should hold for us. It's all building in the right direction.
Okay, Tim, thank you very much. And we'll look forward to what's yet to come with the company. And I'm pretty happy as a shareholder. Final words?
Just stay tuned. We, as I mentioned, we've got a lot of exciting stuff in the pipeline. A lot of that's been in the works for some time. And I'm, fingers crossed, I'm very hopeful that we start to see some of these, major new developments come through to fruition sooner than later. And I'll be back here with, big grin on my face, happy to talk about them with you.
All right, sounds good, Tim. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks, Carl. Take care.